And welcome back to 8-Bit Benny versus the Ferret business. Here we are in the Living Rock Lighthouse, and we're going to do a little bit more of Botania today. So, we are going to start looking at getting some automated mana started. We're going to take our first couple steps down that road, and the first step going down that road is to make some Munch Dew flowers. Munch Dew flowers will eat the leaves of the trees, which are going to grow way down there. So you see the tree through the door there? Yeah, that's right. So we're going to plant some leaves over there. They are going to go through some mana spreaders. After they eat the leaves, they're going to create the mana. Once they eat the leaves, they're going to send it to the mana spreaders. They're going to shoot to the mana pool that's up top there above the door, and we're going to have mana in here. So to do that, we have to create a few runes, which I've gone ahead and created some fire runes. I've done all the basic runes. I've done the fire, the water, the earth, the air. I've also gone and made the winter rune required to create the Gluttony rune to create the Munch Dew. So I've done a bit of rune building off camera. So the step we're at right now is we are about ready to make the Gluttony runes, which are going to be needed to create the Munch Dew flowers. So what I'd like to look at first, though, is my mana setup right here. We can see, after I explain what I have set up, why we need a better mana solution. So we have our nightshades here that we got out of one of the blind bags early on. I have them planted here, and at nighttime, much like right now, they will send mana. If I hold my wand of the forest, as I hover over it, you can see that it's highlighting the mana spreader that it is linked to. As I go over here, you're going to see those are also linked. And we can also see, holding our wand of the forest, this mana spreader is pointed at this mana pool. This pulse mana spreader is pointed at our Runic Alter. Our Runic Alter is going to be necessary to make runes, which is where I have made our fire rune and the other runes we have in the box over yonder. Let's just watch this for a moment. So right now the endo flames over here are not sending any mana. They're not burning anything right now. So we're just getting mana from our nightshades. Yeah, that's pretty slow, isn't it? So what we're going to do is we're going to take some coal. We're going to toss it out. We're going to watch the endo flames pick it up. They're going to burn it. They're going to be sending mana to that mana spreader. And we're going to see it's almost a constant stream of mana. So endo flames making a lot more mana than our nightshades, but of course we have to keep feeding these. We could automate the feed a bit, but you know what? We're wasting coal. Every time we toss coal there, we're wasting it. So let's find a way to create mana in a renewable source, and that would be our Munch Dew. So how are we going to do that? Well, how does a Runic Alter work? What's going to happen is we're going to right-click with stuff in our hands onto the Runic Alter, and they're going to start floating around the Runic Alter. So what we're going to do is we're looking at making a Gluttony rune. So we're going to put a diamond, a mana diamond, 2 mana diamonds. We use our fire rune, which automatically populates with the rune of winter, even though I had one in my hand, and boom. So it gives us a pretty loud indication that we have a complete recipe. So you can see here on the screen it's showing not only, if we're not on the altar, we can see we have our items hovering around, which is kind of a pretty cool, fun little graphic. It's, if you want to decorate, you can leave stuff in the altar and just leave it floating around for a long time. If we hover over the altar, we can see it's going to show us the items we have in the altar. It has an arrow pointing at our Rune of Gluttony over to the right with an X pointing through it. Why does it have an X? Because we need to feed this Runic Alter some mana. So to do that, I have a hovering hourglass because the pulse mana spreader needs a pulse of redstone in order to shoot its full capacity of mana. Unfortunately, it only shoots its capacity once every time it gets a redstone signal. So turning a lever on and off, you could do it, but you have to turn it on and off for every single pulse. By putting two of our sand here in the hovering hourglass, it's going to give us a pulse every 2 seconds, which is pretty much what we want. So let's put with the sand in our hand, we're going to right click on the hovering hourglass. Boom. We're going to see it's shooting mana there. Now, if you look at the rune on the right that the arrow is pointing at, you can see it's starting to fill up with a slight green shade. Once that gets all the way around, it's filling up kind of like the minute hand of a clock moving. Then once it fills up, then we're going to be ready to create a rune. To do that, we're going to need one more thing though. We are going to need, not sand, living rock. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to toss a piece of living rock onto there. Once we have the living rock on there, we're going to right-click with our wand of the forest, and assuming the Runic Alter is full of enough mana to create our Rune of Gluttony, boom, it's going to pop out. One of the cool things we're going to see that I witnessed while I was creating the other 4 basic runes, in the previous version of Botania, I was pretty sure it consumed all the runes used in recipes. In this version, it's actually spitting back the fire, water, earth, and air runes. So that's great because we only have to make those once. Last time I had to keep pumping stuff into the production of those runes every time I wanted to make something. So that's pretty cool that we get to reuse them. We don't have to keep plugging all that stuff in. While we're waiting for this, let's just throw a couple more coal onto the endoflames. Just to help pump that mana in there, because I'm not sure how much mana this is going to take. Let's check what's in the pool. Yeah, it's still not a ton. We should have enough for this rune at the very least. I'm going to prep by throwing a piece of living rock there. We can see it's seated kind of nicely in the middle. I did not throw it in the middle. Oh, no, it's floating where I threw it. Okay, I thought it had organized itself to the middle, which would have been pretty cool. We're also going to see, once we have our Runic Alter filled with enough mana, we're going to get another visual effect. That's going to tell us that we have enough mana in there. Just to save the Pulse Mana Spreader from shooting mana uselessly into an already full altar, I am going to right-click with an empty hand on the hovering hourglass, and it's going to take all of the sand out of it. So that's going to stop it from pulsing, which is exactly what I want to have happen. So we're almost there. We're almost full. Couple more seconds and we're gonna get a cool little visual effect. Let's grab that sand. See, we can see we have lightning bolts popping off there. That's pretty cool. Alright, before this rock despawns. Boom. Oh, that's pretty cool. So what's happened is it's actually spit back our Rune of Winter as well. That's very cool. So we now have a brand new Rune of Gluttony. Yay. That's going to let us craft our Munch Dew. Alright, so I'm going to do a cut here. I'm going to create the other Rune of Gluttony. Why am I creating 2 runes? Because I want 2 Munch Dew flowers. So I'm going to create another Rune of Gluttony. I'm going to make sure our mana pool has enough mana in it to create our Munch Dew flowers, and we'll be right back. Alright, welcome back everyone. While we are waiting for this mana pool to fill up with some more mana, I just wanted to show you one other thing I'm going to make today, and that is the Mana Blaster. The Mana Blaster is going to allow us to do some fun little particle effects, as long as we have a mana tablet or some way to provide mana to our Mana Blaster in our inventory. We will be able to shoot little wisps of mana around. I'm going to use them to replace the torches. Which is going to be very cool. We can eventually put lenses on it to change the colors and the effect of it. But for now, I'm going to use it just as is to hopefully put down some torches. So what do we have here? We've got a Pulse Mana Spreader, which is a mana spreader and a piece of redstone. Not very expensive. We have 2 pieces of living wood. We have TNT. We have our Mana Diamond, just a diamond thrown into a mana pool with some mana in it. And we have our Rune of Mana, which is one of the first runes you make. So the one problem with this, because we're in a crafting station, this Rune of Mana is going to be used up when I craft our Mana Blaster. But that's okay. The Rune of Mana is not too bad to make. Let me see if I can find it here. Nope. Okay. That's fine. We'll look at the recipe later. So, Mana Blaster. So, without anything in my inventory, like a Mana Tablet, that's not going to do a lot. But once I have a Mana Tablet and I've got a little bit of mana in it, if I grab my Mana Tablet from the bag, we're going to see that we can shoot a few little fun rays. Let's throw that down there. Let's change that. Oops. let's let that stay in there and fill up. So over here, I actually have an alchemy catalyst, which I'm using to swap things around by having a mana pool on top of an alchemy catalyst with some mana in it. When you throw things in, it's going to morph them into new things, such as redstone will turn to glowstone, glowstone will turn to gunpowder, so on and so forth. There's a whole list of recipes. I think there's like 111 recipes, so it's quite extensive. Boom! Woohoo, we got an achievement. Interesting. Well, it's shooting mana. I don't see it leaving any, I wonder if that's a change in, maybe that's a change. Oh well. I'll have to research. Alright, welcome back. Well, I made a slight error. The Munch Stew isn't actually even made on the Runic Alter. We do need to make the Rune of Gluttony, but the Munch Stew is actually made over here in the Petal Apothecary. So, what do we have here? We have 2 lime petals, 2 red petals, and 1 green petal, as well as our Rune of Gluttony. All we need now... Boom! So, let's do that again. Fill that back up. And again, if we click with an empty hand here, it's going to put in our last recipe that we did. That also works on our Runic Alter. If we click with an empty hand and we have all the items in our inventory from the previous recipe, we can automatically put all that stuff back in the altar, so repeat and rinse for creating items a little bit faster. So let's toss this seed in. Bam. There we go. So now we have 2 of them. Let's just fill that back up. Let's put that there. And you know what? Let's leave this bucket over here. That's going to be useful. Alright. Well, let's go put our Munch Stews out and let's see what happens. We're going to see... Only problem I have right now is I'm not sure about the range. So let's put that there. Let's see if we can link that up. Aha. So, obviously I've made a bit of a mistake. Let's not put something between it and the mana spreader. Let's see if that's going to be a bit better. Nope, that was a mistake. Let's resync these 2. There we go. I've had to put a second mana spreader here because at this point where this mana spreader is, I start getting diminishing returns. These mana spreaders only shoot so far. So let's see if I can link this up. Nope. I have a feeling I'm going to need to make that mana spreader a bit lower, which would be kind of annoying. Let's see, what spread do we have here? Let's try this. There we go. So this Munch Stew being over here is eating all the leaves, and we can see it's actually sending mana to the mana spreader. So, what does that mean? I'm going to need to move this one. Why did I bother making 2? When these have finished eating, they need a time to rest. So by having 2, I'm hoping to increase the uptime that we are collecting mana. At the moment, we are going to have to manually replant the trees. That's obviously going to change once I get some more automation in place. But for now, we're going to see that this is going to create a lot of mana, which is going to be awesome. Yep. So you can see if I have the Wonder Forest in my hand and I'm hovering over a flower or any Botania item, you're going to see it has a mana spreader there at the right of its mana bar with a check mark. That's telling me that it is linked to a mana spreader. And if I keep right-clicking, we can see it's still making mana, and it's still sending mana to that mana spreader, and it's keeping that thing full. It's actually pretty good. So now all I have to do is let these trees grow. One or both of these will eat the leaves and send the mana up to there. The other great thing about hovering over with a Wand of the Forest, we can see what the range of this flower is. So we can see it's going to get all the way to the back. Might need to put these back one spot because it looks like they're going to miss that. So let's do that right now. Because this one was empty. Let's see. It should be a bit better. The one thing I don't want to see is overhanging leaves not getting caught by the munch dews, because that would be kind of ugly and annoying. Alright, so that one's empty, so let's move this one back as well. And hopefully these will... yeah, that'll be fine there. And then hopefully once these grow, we will see that we're going to be having tons of mana over here. If I click on the mana pool, it doesn't look very full, does it? Not compared to that one, but it is actually getting a decent amount of mana. Once we see that these trees grow, we'll get much more mana. So, all right, welcome back. We are going to work on our next step of automating our mana generation. So we are going to create our 4 pistons, and we're going to go see what happens. Well, looks like we just had another tree get eaten. That's great. Worry about that in a moment. We're going to take these pistons and we're going to throw them into our mana pool. It's going to get through mana pretty fast, but that's okay because we're about to get... I should probably set up a spreader to point at that, but for now we'll probably actually end up setting up something in the center of the room, so I'm going to not worry about that right now. So what did we just create? We just created the force relay. What the force relay is going to do is, we're going to be able to put that down, we're going to be able to click on our wand of the forest. Oops. If we right click, it'll go away. So we're going to be able to link this with other things. So example, if I link it with that, if I had the force relay be hit with some mana, that mana would then come out of the block I clicked on. So what does that do for us? Well, what's going to happen is, eventually I'm going to use mana to help break these trees. So I'm going to have some mana spreaders attached to pools shooting straight up. I'm going to have a force relay above them. I'm going to link that force relay to the piece of dirt below the tree, and when it hits the force relay, it's going to teleport that piece of mana to below the tree. It's going to shoot up through the tree, and with the right lens on it, it's going to knock down the tree. And that will allow us to not have to constantly be cutting down these trees. So that's going to be our next step once we get there. Alright, I did a bit of research and I found out what I was missing. So the Mana Blaster will in fact put down light sources, but we need to attach a Mana Lens flash to it. So Mana Lenses are created by putting a piece of glass and some mana steel ingots around it. By attaching a mana lens to a mana spreader, you can change the properties of what the mana will do to the world. Left on their own, mana spreaders will just send mana from one place to another, assuming whoever they're shooting can accept mana. The Mana Blaster is basically a handheld mana spreader, so it takes off something in your inventory to feed it mana, such as a mana tablet if it's in your inventory, to supply it with mana to shoot. Obviously a mana spreader being next to a mana pool will shoot mana across. So what we need to do is we need to make a lens, and then we need to turn that into a flash lens and attach it to our Mana Blaster. So we need some glowstone, which was easy because we had a bunch of glowstone from the nether, and fire charges, which is just blaze powder, gunpowder, and coal, which we have quite a decent amount of all of those. So I have gathered those together already, and let's do, oops, let's click on the right square. We have a Mana Lens Flash. Alright, so let's combine these two together. And we have a Mana Blaster with a Mana Lens in it. Woohoo! Alright, well let's hunt down my Mana Tablet, which still has mana in it. And we can see by holding my Mana Tablet in my bar, what happens if I put it in my inventory? Yeah. So you can see right below my hearts there's a new bar there, which is showing me how much mana I have stored on me. So the Mana Tablet doesn't even need to be in my bar. Let's put it over there. Let's put our crossbow back. And let's see what happens if I shoot this out here. Boom! So we're going to see, we're going to get a nice little green Mana Flash. So this will emit light, which means I can use mana to replace all these torches. Ta-da! And I can break those easily if I misplace one. So let's just do that. Let's make this all look a little bit nicer. we'll make it look a little more Botania-esque. Because, hey, it's fun. I'm not sure what the frame rate's going to be after that, but we'll find out. So this is a great way to travel around with a near limitless amount of torches without having to waste wood and coal on creating torches. So there we have it. We now have some mana flashes, which I think look kind of cool. I'll have to do some research. I know we can change the color of these mana flashes by changing something on the lens. At the moment, I'm not quite sure what that is. I'm going to just rest with this color of mana flash for the moment, because we've got other things to do this episode. But we have a couple things left to create before we get to that spot. So I'm going to do some of that work off camera. I'll gather the items, and then we will be able to look at that for next week. For now, I'm going to sign off. I think that's about it for the week. I will gather some materials, prep the things so that you guys don't have to watch me gather stuff and run around the tower all episode. Just so you guys get to see all the fun stuff. If you liked the episode, feel free to hit that like button at the bottom there. If you didn't like the episode, well, you can hit the like button, or you can hit the dislike button if you like, or you could just browse off to something else. If you didn't like the episode, feel free to leave a comment about what you didn't like about it. I'd be curious to listen to what people, if they have issues with the episodes, what those are. Maybe I can improve something, or maybe, maybe I intend it to be that way, and this just isn't your cup of tea. Again, if you liked the episode, hit the like button. Leave a comment if you liked it. I love responding to comments, good or bad. So feel free to chat in the comments below, and that'd be great. I'll see you all next time once I have some more things prepped to show you. Have fun Minecrafting, all. See yas.